So that's Ryan. She just really wanted to say hi to you.
It's so nice to meet you.
I want to say thank you for making such amazing music.
Thank you, love. You know who's the puppy there?
That's Maui.
Maui. Okay.
Yeah, that's our Labradoodle. That is a girl Labradoodle. And an amazing companion at that. All right, let me get this thing sturdy now. All right, Rye. You've done an amazing job. And take Maui with you so I can get down to business.
Yes, sir.
Bro, how are you? Nice to see you as always.
Likewise, man. Likewise. I'm good. You know, it's crazy times, but I'm good, man. You know, this has been an opportunity to kind of shut down a little bit, you know, in terms of traveling, right? You know, I had this lifestyle where I was just on a plane every single day, going to a different country every day, and then COVID hit and, you know, forced to be at home. But I feel like it's a blessing in disguise because, you know, we were looking at how many days I was at home last year, for instance, and it was only 60 days out of the year. And that's been the norm, you know, for the past, 12, 13 years of my life. You know what I'm saying?
I was reading something where they said, like, I think Jason was on an airplane 45 times last month.
Isn't that crazy?
I believe it, because I watch you, and I often try to have dinner with you, and you're like,
45 days.
And not like domestically, internationally, which is just, I mean, it takes a toll on you with all that travel.
It does, man. It takes a toll on you, and I think, being at home has really allowed me to, like, really enjoy my family, really enjoy this personal space.
Yeah.
It's very different, man. But I don't think I'll ever go back to the same intensity that I was at, in terms of traveling.
Well, I think it showed all of us that, you can still be productive and accomplish even maybe greater things than you ever thought you could have without having to do all that travel. Or for some people, it's going to an office, commuting every single day at 6 o'clock in the morning, sitting in traffic, driving back, and you start doing the math. You realize like you could, the productivity maybe, like we always say in our little world, I was like, working smarter. Not harder necessarily.
Absolutely.
Right? So
I think it's gonna be like that for a lot of people, right? Like you can do so much on Zoom now. You can do so much on social media. So like the days where artists were flying to all of these different countries to do interviews, I think that's gonna be tough for people to do. Once you find out that this is possible, like how are you gonna get people to go and do, all of those things again?
Yeah, we've been doing those like Google Hangouts or Zoom calls for a while. Once we opened up in, from New York, we're all based is where my office is. But then once we opened in LA and then Las Vegas, it was a consistent, three times a week, just big group call with everybody. And frankly, you don't miss a beat. And now it's gotten so mainstream. It took like a crazy thing to happen for the whole world to wake up and be like, I'm not getting on an airplane to go fly to London or fly across the country to have a meeting.
Straight up.
I will look at you in the face, which I do think is important to see the person and get their like tone with visual, response or whatever. But what used to be conference calls and not a good enough thing, you look what we could do. I mean, I could have incredible conversations with the most dynamic people without them having to come to a studio or go to them and figure out cameras and all this stuff just for like the basic stuff. Now with you recently did what? Like you did your first concert basically, right? A couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
How did that go?
It was good, man. We've actually been doing a couple of them, man, and it's cool, but it's a little different. You know what I'm saying? Being in front of our audience, obviously. The main thing is that audience interaction. You're missing that energy from the audience, and as a performer, you kind of feed off of that energy, and it kind of takes you to the next level, and you just kind of continue to have this fire, throughout the entire show because, they're just kind of keeping you energized. So with this, it's kind of it's kind of like trying to find that same fire, like inside, it is a different perspective, but it reminds me of corporate shows.
Right. Corporate shows or even going on like a Today Show type of thing where like you perform to like 20 people that are sitting there in a live studio.
Yeah, but even that, even 20 people is better than nobody.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm watching the NBA now. I'm like, as a fan on TV, actually, I feel fine.
Yeah.
Right. But like to not be able to go to an actual game as a fan, it sucks. Right. But how are these players dealing with same thing, feeding off that energy of the crowd, the home team advantage, the whole thing that comes with it, the cheering and the music and the excitement and, yelling and screaming is a huge part of sports, obviously 100%. Concerts and everything else. But I think we'll get back. You know what I mean? Not everything can be replaced by, Zoom and pre-recorded stuff. And my friend Cassie just did something where he did something called Pass the Mic, where he had like the classic artists from like the 80s hip hop generation, did something really well produced, and it was amazing. And like to watch it, you felt the energy, but imagine it will never replace the concert or but you can do these things now because of the pandemic, right? Like to get 50 of the greatest artists together to do their number one hit from 80s or 90s or whatever the genre, you're never going to be able to show up to one concert to do that. But now you can pull this off and people actually give a shit. It's really fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like we've known each other for a long time now. I actually don't even remember what year we met in, but it was long enough to say that, which is nice because I've had like a real front row seat, so to speak, of watching you grow, both in your biceps and your hairstyles to a international superstar artist who, was as humble as can be when I met you, who is as humble as can be now, which I have to give you as a compliment is rare to see. Because frankly, you are larger than life, especially even right now during the peak of where everyone sort of disappears. You've taken an incredible marketing stance and independent stance to your career, which is amazing. But before we get into that, the spirit of this is just to give people, whether they're my fans, which are very few in comparison to your fans, but an inside perspective of what does it take to get to where you are in the genre that you're focused in. Now, you've obviously done your acting, you've done TV hosting, you've done things overseas, you've done things domestically, but number one, you are a singer, dancer, performer as a career, which has obviously gone into other things like restaurant business with me. But what? Tell me your journey a bit. Being born, 1989, right? You're a bit younger than me. Damn you. But what did it take? Obviously, can't tell every detail because it takes forever. But from a young kid, did you have the passion to be a performer? At what age? What inspired you? Where did you come up with the idea even that you were good at something differently? And what sort of twists and turns have had to happen when you look back at these crossroad moments of your life? And like I said, like earlier when we were chatting, meeting Frank at an early age. Yeah. Who I've had the pleasure to deal with on multiple occasions.
The main thing for me, which I was lucky, is the fact that I was able to find what I loved very early on. I was 4 years old when I saw Michael Jackson for the first time on television, and then I was hooked. It became an obsession to try to be like Michael Jackson. Instead of being a musician, it was almost like trying to become Michael Jackson. When I was that age, I didn't really know what that meant, but it was that insatiable desire to continue to just grow. I always wanted to just get myself to the next level, whatever that was. And the funny thing is, like, I remember being so young, and I was like, if I'm 8 and I'm not famous by the time I'm 8, I'm giving this up. Right. 8 rolled around. If I'm 12, and this doesn't happen, I'm gonna choose something else. That it never happened at that time. Yeah. But what it did, I always had some kind of goal. Like I always had something to reach for. So like that kind of keeps you going. Also, there was always some glimmer of light that always let me know that it was possible. And all I needed was like, even if it was like one person saying, "Oh my God, you're so gifted," like that little nod just kept the fire burning.
Little
You know what I'm
wins.
saying? So,
There's those little wins where you didn't feel you're totally wasting your time. I read a quote. I read a quote somewhere, and I really don't remember where, but it said when Jason commits, he commits 100%, and then once